Hi guys, today we're just going to take a quick look at the Red Scare. Now, the Red Scare was something that happened in America from 1919 onwards, and it was basically a huge fear of communism. Now, communism believed, just for a quick recap, in an equal share of wealth amongst the people. All property should be owned by the people or the state, so the people in charge. And they believed that there should be a classless system, so we shouldn't have rich people, we shouldn't have poor people, we should just have all the people have the same kind of amount of money, right? That way no one's starving to death or anything like that. Now, this was the opposite of what America believed at the time, which was capitalism. Now, capitalism believed in something called the American dream in America. And that was basically the idea that your own success is down to you. So if you work hard and you're determined, and you never give up kind of thing, you will make your fortune, you will make your money, right? An example of this is Henry Ford. Right? They also believe that companies are privately owned instead of by the government. So, individuals own huge companies. Henry Ford's again a good example of this because he owned the Ford company and he was kind of a perfect example of the American dream. Right? He worked hard, he thought of all these ideas, he made them happen, and before he knew it, he was making millions and millions of dollars from the cars that he was making, from the Model T. Now, these fears were made a lot worse by bombings and attacks that were going off in America during 1919. Now, in April 1919, bombs went off in a church which killed 10 people. Right? In May 1919, bombs were posted to 36 prominent Americans, business leaders, judges, lawyers, and so on. And in June 1919, bombs went off in 7 US cities. Now, this caused a lot of fear because people were thinking, well, why are these bombs coming from? They started to blame communists. Right? They also believed that all the immigrants coming over to America from 1919 onwards, because of the open door policy, might be communist spies who had been sent to America to try and destabilise the country and change the country from capitalist to communist. And a lot of Americans did not want that because they all wanted the American dream for themselves. So they were very hostile to anyone who might take that away from them. Now, it was never proved that any of these bombings was a result of communists, but it was suspected heavily at the time. Now, as a result, a man called Alexander Palmer basically got a task force together to try and solve this issue of the communist threat. He got a man called J. Edgar Hoover to get a huge file together on potential suspects, and the US government ended up deporting 10,000 immigrants who had come to America. It turned out later on that only 565 of these people deported had anything, that they were guilty of. The rest were innocent who'd just been caught up in a false accusation. So much like that wasn't good. But this idea of the Red Scare ties again into that idea of the immigration attitude at the time. The open door policy, loads of immigrants were coming over to America, but there were people within America who had really prejudiced views and they were quite discriminatory against these immigrants, which caused quite a lot of problems. This links to the KKK, which we will be looking at, alongside this in the coming weeks. But it all ties together in quite, a big picture. The idea of the Red Scare, immigration, and racism and so on, which we're going to look at further as we go. Thank you.